Now, Baron Corbin believes that the WWE fumbled the bag with him, and they weren't going to renew his contract and just releasing him. Now, I think there was some potential with Baron Corbin, knowing that he had a resurgence in NXT under Shawn Michaels. And so I think Baron Corbin being released was not really a smart move, considering that, the SmackDown roster needs more names. So now you shorten the SmackDown roster. Who do you have to challenge for that US belt? Because it seems to me, if you look at the mid card right now on SmackDown, you don't have a lot of names. Okay, you can't keep doing Carmelo Hayes and Andrade forever. You can't have LA Knight just defend against Andrade and Melo and just be that. Okay, LA Knight, for the most part, needs other challengers. And I think Baron Corbin would have been a great feud for LA Knight for that US championship. Okay? And I also think Baron Corbin being a babyface was not really smart for his, character. Okay? He's naturally a heel, and he's good at playing a heel. So he was already being miscast once he got drafted to SmackDown from NXT. But in NXT, you saw the best of Baron Corbin, because he finally got to be more of himself, and he rediscovered that lone wolf gimmick that he previously had in his first run in NXT, only it was upgraded. And I personally believe that this version of Baron Corbin should have been the NXT champion, but at the end of the day, they weren't going to renew his contract, and they thought, let's just get rid of him. But it's kind of dirty on their part for releasing him, knowing that, he was already creating content, filming content for Netflix, right, under the WWE. So he was in those commercials, and then you just release him days after, which that leaves a bad taste, in my mouth. And I'm sure it leaves a bad taste in Baron Corbin's mouth as well. So the others that were released were Tegan Knox and Indy Hartwell. There's really not much. There's not much disappointment with that. I mean, Tegan Knox barely even appeared on TV. She was pretty much just a no-name and really wasn't important on Raw or SmackDown. Indy Hartwell was barely even showing up on SmackDown too. But I think with Baron Corbin, there was, out of all the three releases, there was more upside with him coming back to SmackDown. But it just seemed that Triple H, creative, had no plans for Corbin. No plans to give him a push or at least give him a US title feud with LA Knight, because LA Knight needs more challengers. Let's be honest. I mean, if LA Knight doesn't have any more challengers, then his title reign is going to fizzle out. He can't keep defending against Andrade and Melo forever. I mean, I'm just looking at the SmackDown roster, and I mean, people are going to, have a different perspective of his release. But I'm coming from the angle of the mid-card on SmackDown is on life support. Let's be real. You don't have a lot of names. Like, got Santos Escobar, but we barely see him anymore. LA Knight, Melo, Andrade, AJ Styles, he's injured. But other than that, who else do they really have in the mid-card on SmackDown that is, deemed somewhat important? So I think Baron Corbin being released, and for him, it could be a blessing in disguise. It could be one of those situations where he can reinvent himself in TNA. I don't think AEW is really a place for Corbin to go, considering that their track record with big men in AEW is not too impressive. So I think in TNA, he'll have a better shot at being treated more important. Okay. And so we'll have to see where Corbin winds up in next 90 days. But that's all.